What's up, plebs? Pleb Esports. Today going to be talking about the monumental roster move that was TARIK joining OpTic Gaming. TARIK, of course, the former NA star on CLG who said he was stepping down from the competitive team to wait out his contract and would be a full-time streamer. Obviously wasn't working out with the CLG team, but of course he was under contract, so he just waited out. Unless, of course, a team came and bought out his contract, which is what OpTic Gaming did. OpTic Gaming dropping Stanislaw to make room for TARIK. Stanislaw was a pretty good player. Definitely not a top tier NA player. He was a solid player. There was a lot of controversy surrounding Stanislaw on the team already. As many of you remember, if you follow CSGO or OpTic Gaming at all, will know that Shazam, who was on the OpTic Gaming squad from the start of the CSGO team, was actually dropped. And after that, he came out and said that it was pretty unprofessionally handled. He wasn't really kept in the loop during most of the happenings, and it came out of nowhere. They were practicing without him, practicing with other players, and he said that after that he was dropped, that it was Stanislaw who was kind of peddling that motion. You know, a lot of people in the OpTic community were not that sad to see Stanislaw go. He wasn't a terrible guy. He was a good player and a good guy, but you know, a lot of people, because of what happened with Shazam, were not too sad to see Stanislaw be removed from the OpTic Gaming roster, especially when you bring in what I believe is a top 3 NA player in TARIK. So what are my expectations for this OpTic Gaming roster with their new and improved players? I think they're definitely a top 5 NA team as it stands right now. I don't think anyone would contest that they're a top 5 team. I think personally that they're well on their way to being top 3. I will say that early on in their ESL Pro League matches with TARIK, they haven't been performing too well. They played Liquid in their first match with TARIK in the ESL Pro League, and they lost 0-2. Second map was pretty close, so it went to a couple overtimes, so there's that. The next night they played Cloud9, which are playing amazing Counter-Strike at the moment in the ESL Pro League, and they were 0-2'd by them. Same story, similar fashion. First map was a blowout in the side of C9, and the second map was a little closer. So under the TARIK flag, in this TARIK era OpTic Gaming roster, particularly in the ESL Pro League, OpTic Gaming was off to a 0-4 map record with TARIK on the roster, but they played in a Star Ladder qualifier match for the LAN last night. As the time that I'm making this video, it was last night, where they actually got to play Cloud9 again, and Cloud9 won the first map. Second map, OpTic Gaming came back, went on cash. It was a pretty close match, really good match. And then the third map, they pretty much handled business on Cobble. It wasn't a blowout by any means, and Cloud9 almost came back, but it was definitely a comfortable win for OpTic and the newly improved roster with TARIK on the roster. And I think matches like last night shine a light on what OpTic could be, and that's why I believe that they're the third best team in North America right now. Obviously, that's up for contention. This team has been together for maybe a week or so we really don't know where they're going to go or how they're going to get there, and if TARIK will return to true form. But he was close to true form in Cobble last night, and he was dominant. You know, I remember one round specifically where he aced. So, you know, if everyone can continue to improve on that roster, obviously Rush is an up-and-coming NA player, could be an NA star. Mixwell from Spain has already proven that he can dominate a server. Absolutely played out of his mind at the major where OpTic Gaming lost to Flipside. Daps, a veteran of the CSGO community, is still a formidable force. And Naf, again, is much like Rush, where they're not similar in play styles necessarily, but definitely two up-and-coming young men in the CSGO community. And then you add a guy like TARIK, who has proven that he can be top 3 in NA Counter-Strike and can definitely compete internationally, that we saw in Columbus. So, you know, obviously I have them at 3rd in the NA rankings currently. I do think that they'll move up. I do think that they'll be able to compete pretty consistently with Cloud9. What's tough about the top 3 rankings with me for NA right now is that Liquid hasn't really taken form, and until they get into their groove with Pimp on their roster, I don't really feel like you can shuffle the rankings too much, because we don't know what that team's going to look like when they're fully settled into their new roster. And that probably won't happen for another couple weeks. But when they are, then we can more clearly look at the NA picture and the NA rankings and decisively say who's the best team. In my mind, it still goes Liquid, C9, and OpTic. But after this TARIK ad by OpTic Gaming, I do believe that they will consistently play with these top NA teams, and they will definitely dominate the lower tier NAs. And who knows, we may be coming into an age with OpTic joining C9, Pimp joining Liquid, and now TARIK joining OpTic Gaming. We could reasonably be in a world where we see 2 or 3 NA teams qualify for the major and get out of group stages. So let me know what you guys think. Did you like the move? And what are your NA rankings? Okay, do you think Cloud9 are better than Liquid? Do you think OpTic Gaming should be even in that conversation? Let me know. This has been Pleb Lord, Pleb Esports. That's all I got. I'll see you next time.